Okay, we're going to seal some wood with Cascamite powdered resin wood glue. I know you think I'm crazy, but all my work surfaces in this workshop are sealed using Cascamite powdered resin wood glue. It happens to be by Urea. Now, they kindly sent me some over. This is not a sponsorship or anything like that, but they have actually sent these glues over and some jelly beans. I should have put that one. I should have made a video. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how I mix the Cascamite to use it as a sealer and how I actually put the finish on. I'll call it a finish. It's not really a finish. It's a glue, but it's a resin. You see, it's a hard resin glue. Now, I have used this stuff, putting several coats on, and got to quite a high finish, doing pretty much what you do if you sprayed a car. Wet and dry it down. Some wet and dry, about 1,000, 1,200 grit wet and dry sandpaper. Takes all the nibs off and gives a nice sheen to the top, and then finish it off with some cutting compound. I think you can get one hell of a shine. It's resin, after all. It's a hard resin, but also wood glue. So it's quite useful stuff. But I've used it a lot for sealing bits of wood. Now I've got 3 bits of wood here that I've already sealed, and I let it go off. Now I just want to show you the difference. Now, obviously, if it's a sealer, it will resist water, won't it? Now, I haven't sanded these yet, so it might be a good idea just to sand them first. So let's put this over here for a second. I've got a sand here. Now, wear a dust mask if you're doing this. I shouldn't be doing this, to be honest, because it is urea formaldehyde, which is a carcinogen. Just like go, very lightly. Take the nibs off. That'll do. There goes the compressor. Well, yeah, let's took the nibs off, that's a bit better. Now, these 2 bits of wood, I've done a bit of plywood here, and this piece of pine, I've done the whole surface, and I thought to myself, hang on, there's a bit of chipboard here. As you can probably see, it's darker on that side than it is that side. That side has got no Cascamite powdered resin wood glue on, and that side has. Don't worry, that'll turn off in a second. So what we're going to do, we're going to dribble some water on. That one I haven't put any on at the moment. We're going to do that one in a moment. There's my little spatula to mix it with. So, why did I put a jelly bean in my mouth? Anyway, if I put a drop of water in here, there it comes. As you see, it sits on the top like a blob, because the meniscus of the surface tension is holding its shape. It's not been allowed to spread over the surface. So if I just do that, this rolls straight off, like it does when you actually, it's pretty much all come off. All the water's just dribbled off, just like as you polish your car. So effectively, that's what it is. It's got a hard finish on it now. The same applies to this piece of plywood, I imagine. I haven't tested this yet. I'm just winging it. So yeah, exactly the same. As you see, it's just a big blob on it, and it's just sitting there. It should just roll off. Yeah, exactly what it's done. It's pretty much, yeah, nothing on there. And this one, though, I only done half. It's a piece of chipboard. All my work surfaces on here, some people think I'm mad, but all my work surfaces, because it's cheap, it's just green hydrofuge chipboard work surfaces. Because it was cheap and I had to do quite a lot of area. They're all sealed using the Cascamite powdered resin wood glue, this stuff. All right, which we'll mix some up in a minute. But let's have a look at this piece of chipboard here, see the difference. Now, if I put a bit on there, it should just do exactly the same as what the other one's done. It has. Pretty much all comes off. But if I go on the other side where it's got none on, it will probably soak in. And it is, I can see it's changing colour underneath it. And gradually it's soaking into the wood. Yeah, it is. So you can see, look, it's just soaked it up. Whereas on that side, it's just literally goes into little blobs, like a highly polished car. So you can make this really shiny if you want to. Like I said, if you polish it down. But now that side is. If I do that, you probably notice that one side hasn't changed and the other side's darker now. So the side that's darker is the side without it, whereas before it was the other way around. Yeah. So that side here hasn't been treated, and that side has with the Cascamite. So it does work. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix them up. So we've got these 3 bits there that we've already done, just to demonstrate. And it seems a bit of a mad idea. Why would you do Cascamite? Yeah, stuff's expensive, but no, because you don't put it on like a thick glue. no, you water it down. But first you've got to mix it. I'm trying to do this without wearing a mask, so I need to speak. But you must wear a mask and goggles, preferably closed goggles. You know, instead of actually trying to open like this. So first of all, I'm just going to mix a small amount up. I don't need a lot. It's just for demonstration purposes. But the constituency, you see, when you put it on, you want it thin. Because you want it to soak into the wood for a start. You want it to sit on the top like a hard layer of glue. You want it to soak in as a sealer. Now, it's not like traditional sanding sealers, which solvent-based ones, which go off really quickly. Obviously, it's going to take a while to go off because it takes as long as it takes for the glue to dry. But it is exposed to the air, so it will go off quite quickly. Now, I put a few dribbles of water in there because it's Cascamite you mix with water. You can use a dye if you want, a water-based dye, if you want a coloured finish. Remember, it will be translucent, so I just put a tiny amount in at a time. You must never ever put too much in at a time. Now, I do it in reverse to what they tell you. They generally tell you to put your water in first and add the powder. All I've had with that is problems, because it doesn't always, you can't always pour the powder in easily. It comes in lumps and then it just end up with a lumpy mix. But if you slowly put the actual water into the actual glue and allow the glue to absorb the water, so I'm getting there with this. So somebody just puts one side and just leave it for a bit. But I'm going to keep mixing because I'm making a video. Oh dear. Oh, I've got tetanus in my ears now. Got a ringing in my ears. Years of using machines, I suppose. People didn't used to be quite so, how to put it, careful, including myself, regarding health and safety. And there's me talking about that, and there's me mixed it with a mask on. So make sure you wear a mask. So okay, I've mixed it, but I'm going to add extra water now. So it's sort of a creamy constituency like that, yeah. It's quite thick. Now I'm going to add a bit more water, drip by drip, not a tiny amount. You don't want to do too much at a time, else it'll separate. You don't want that. You want it to have enough, you want it to be able to break down with the water, if it makes any sense. It becomes runny. As you can see, it's becoming runnier now. You can probably get away with that, but I would want a little bit runnier than that. If you put too much water all at once, it'll separate. Especially if you've got an old batch of Cascamite, which I have over there, and it's absolutely useless. And it's when it was owned by Polyvine. Sorry, Polyvine, but you've really messed that one up. But now it's Eureka has the actual the company's called Eureka or something. If you look, they've actually got hold of it, or they bought the rights to. I don't know what the deal is there, but they're brought it back to how it was. And as you see, it's quite runny. Yeah, you can probably get away with that, but you can go a little bit thinner than that if you want. Depends what you want. You see, you don't want the glue to sit on the top. You want it to actually, or the finish to soak into the wood, because I'm treating it as a sanding sealer. See, this is a really hard finish. You can get a real good finish on it. It's good for wood turning and stuff like that, except the time it takes to actually go off. And that really depends on the weather. If you've got a hot day, go off in no time. Okay, so that is mixed. It hasn't separated at all. As you see, it's quite thin. Yeah. So you can keep mixing it if you like. Yeah, that's perfect. That's just how I want it. And all I do, if I'm doing especially a large area, I don't use a brush. You can't really brush this stuff. It's pointless. It doesn't flow like varnish or or paint or anything like that at all. No, so all I do, you've got to find a way of moving it around. So all I do is I literally place it onto a piece of wood in one place like so. I've used the wood itself or a spatula, such as this one. You're probably wondering why I had that there, didn't you? And then I'll just literally move it, spread it. That's the word, isn't it? Spread it across my piece of wood. And it could be big areas, what have you. You can have a big spatula. I've used window squeegees before, that's worked. Especially the white shower type ones you can get. There's nasty things that are a bit rubbish, but they're good for this job. And you can do large areas, and that's how I did this bench here. This whole bench down here is all done in exactly this way. And then put to one side and just, move on to your next job. So that's what I do to seal my wooden surfaces if I haven't got another proprietary product. And means this is water-based, actually goes a real long way to actually seal the surfaces of worktops in my workshop. You know, and you can get a finish, like I said, you can wet and dry it up. So when you use wet and dry, you literally, let's find out which side's that side. Let's do that one. Is that one? That side. So you basically put a bit of water on there, not the glue, a bit of water. And then you can literally just, that's 1200, this one is 1200 grit. And what you'll find is when you do this, the actual water won't sit as bubbles anymore. That'll actually, because it's got something to go into, do you know what I mean? Because you create a bit of a texture to the surface. Very fine, but you can really, get a really smooth finish on there. And the wet and dry is good as well because, as you can see, all that urea formaldehyde sandings is in the waters. It's not in the air, so that's quite a good thing about doing it this way. But always wear a mask, please. Don't do what I'm doing. But look, I'm trying to speak to you. You can see that the colour of that. That's the sandings of the glue itself. And then you wipe that off. And if I run my fingers over that now, even though it's a bit damp now, it's smooth, really, really smooth. And the next stage, you can use a cotton compact, and you can bring it back up to a shine. So it's actually really useful. So yeah, don't just use your Cascamite as a form of glue, because that's exactly what it is. Big tab over there. Look. You can also use it as a hard resin finish. So there you go. That's what I do. You don't have to do it. It's up to you. Just thought I'd show you. So it's time for me to go anyway. So ta-ta, and have a lovely day. And why is it all the way over there? I need a remote. That's what I need. Don't forget to beat the whole like button. Ta-ta.